kick off with first our purpose statement. I'll go ahead and read that, and then we're going to open it up for some feedback from the audience about what exciting things have happened over the last week. So first and foremost, let me share my screen, and here we go. The 17 Club purpose statement: building disciplined men of purpose who take responsibility, act with intention, and serve others. This is where we study the science of personal achievement and to support, encourage, and hold each other accountable on their journey toward their personal or professional definite chief aim. All right, so welcome everyone. Another great Tuesday, and let's kick off with the exciting. What happened exciting over the past week? Who'd like to share? Rob, I think you said you wanted to share about some beatdown you took. So I'm going to stop the share and let you do that. Go for it.
Yes, sir. I'll try to summarize this, gents. So this has been almost a year-long journey for this Man of War program. It got interrupted because of a business opportunity that most of you know didn't go well. And then I was finally able to make the event last week. So the event is about a 4-day event, and it's meant to test you physically and mentally, and really get you to a point where you're this raw human being, and can be vulnerable about different things with your brothers to the left and right of you. So the preparation for the event was heavy. The volume of the type of workouts you need to do is mostly core. You're really not in the gym. You're mostly doing grass drills and other things like that. But it's the volume that really breaks you up and gets you in some different type of shape. Going through that as far as the physical journey was great. My mental preparation for what's called the crucible, out the roof. I used every tool that I've gotten here from Napoleon Hill, from Mr. Proctor, or Mr. Nightingale, you just name it. I put all these tools together because I ended up being a kind of a leader for the group as far as our mental warfare toolkit. So, yeah, because everything's happening between here. Your body's going to do something that it's going to do. You're in control of that. But what's going on is between these two ears. And so I created these toolkits. One was a mindset, of course. Another one was mental state. Another one was our attitude about this crucible. And another one was our mental anchor when we're actually at the crucible. So all these elements bring different things for not only the moment, but the journey and then the preparation and then your why. And I really got the attitude one from Mr. Luis here. When we listened to that magic word from Earl Nightingale, and I loved that because I inserted that into my mental warfare kit, bringing all that into the program for me, and I hope for some other guys, and it kind of did show because I ended up being the leader for the guys in this space. It really basically you're in the front line and rest the entire time with about 100 pounds on your back, and they're pushing you, they're pushing you, they're pushing you, and you have to find these places in your mind to go to be able to shut out the noise, be present, be in control of what you can control, which is your breath, all these other things, but really just this head game, not game, but this mental obstacle course that you're going through. Because really easily in about 10 minutes of being in the front lean and rest with 100 pounds on your back and your buddy on top of you, you really just want to say, this is ridiculous. I'm too old for this. What am I going to gain out of this? There is a means to the end, but I got through about a day and a half, and I ended up pulling my front glute and my side glute. We were doing some sprints, and for whatever reason, coming out of the front lean and rest, a bear crawl, pull-ups, jumping down, then doing sprints, they just caught me off guard, and I pulled that muscle, and I had to drop medically. But we started out with about 40 plus guys, 20 didn't show, and then day one, 10 quit. So it's rough, it's rough. But it's that mental state, that mental, where are you at? What are you going to take? For me and Frank, I know for you, quit's just not a word that resonates with us. It's not even in the dictionary, really. So that was not a problem. I was enjoying the journey to where I could stop and look at the trees and just be present, with all the pain on us. Because we also got in the river at 5 o'clock in the morning, freezing. Then had sand on us all day long. We were chafed in every spot you can imagine. But I could just stop and bring myself into this mental zone of peace. And That's what I really got out of it was now that I'm through it, I'm done with it. I'm not going to go back. I experienced it. I wasn't going to quit. I'm in my mind. I could see the graduation and all this because you become a part of this society type thing. It is a group of high achieving men, but I'm in this group of high achieving men. I'm already but I wanted this challenge because I needed it at 55, coming out of the different units I was in. I had lost that challenge. I became dull and I wanted to be sharpened again. And things like that sharpened me. I told one of my coaches, there was a time when I was bulletproof as a young man, and I wanted to be bulletproof again. And so it really, really guided me and put me on this whole different direction now, as far as how I'm applying different things and seeing different things. But one of the big things I took out of it, out of all of that, was visualization. I was in the zone. I drove 21 hours to Tennessee to do a turkey hunt with my friend, and then another 7 hours down to Pensacola. The only thing I saw the entire time, I didn't listen to the music, I just saw the crucible. I was so visually in tune with what was about to happen, and I loved that. And I'm going to take that model and I'm going to bolt it onto this new business I'm starting with another partner who's more of a businessman. This new security thing that I'm doing, I start Monday, my personal life, my kids. Like it really just, it honed me. It honed me in so sharp, so razor focused. And I did that through different tools, through things I've learned here, through things I've read, through different ways I was applying that mental toolkit. So that's what I brought out of it. The program, it is what it is. It's not for everybody, but if you're looking for something like that, it's out there. But I went.
Yeah.
I won't go back. I also broke my rib, so a little busted up, but brought a lot of good stuff out of it. Really did.
Said like a true man. I broke my rib, and you start laughing about it.
Uh,
But you know what? This is what's truly, I think, it's different between men and many women. I won't say all women because there are lots of women out there who love challenges. But we get to a point, and I think Rob, the way you said it was, I was getting a little bit dull, and I needed to be sharpened. And I think that's a message that we should all listen to. When things are starting to get dull, what can you do? What should you do? What could you try to do to sharpen the edge just a little bit to get you from that dullness? And dullness to me is, mediocrity. It's settling for other things. Well, there's nothing I can do about it, so I'm just going to accept it the way it is. That's not who. Now I'm looking at Luis shaking his head. No, no, we can't do that. And yes, some of us who have been involved with athletics or military training and that kind of stuff, we have a different type of mindset when it comes to that. No, quit isn't in our vocabulary. But not being able to finish doesn't mean that you quit. It just meant that you were unable, you were not capable of finishing at that point. You didn't give up. You were probably crawling when they were telling you, no, you need to stop. Because I know that mentality. So, anyone else have any comments or anything you'd like to share with Robert about what he just shared with us? Great. You guys are going to participate today. I love it. So, Rob must have known that the topic today was cooperation and teamwork because what he just finished, he said one thing that kept popping up, and I'm sure you all heard it. He was the leader. And of course, I sit here and say, well, no surprise, he was the leader. He just told us that he was reflecting on Nightingale, he was reflecting on Hill, he's reflecting on all these lessons. I believe he called them tools that he's picked up over time, and he was leaning on that. So guess what? When you're leaning on that, and everyone else is suffering, but you're standing tall and you're leaning into your strengths, they start to look up to you as the leader to help them get through it as well. Isn't that cooperation and teamwork? How did that play, Rob? How did cooperation and teamwork play into what you just experienced?
I needed, what I knew I needed from these men because I went through with no military men. This is a program for executives, so CEOs, COOs. At the time, I was in the C-suite with where I was working, and I fit the mold, but then things fell apart, but they still let me come to the program. But I had some credibility with my background, but I wanted things that I was saying to make sense. And Luis, I used something that you shared, but doing this. I was like that, some physical things that you could do, some cold showers, what that means in your mind, being able to have the discipline to do that. And just And once I started showing them, they could see it, they could feel it. They're like, okay, Rob knows what he's talking about. He's not bullshitting us. He's putting some things together that we're going to use on the ground and in life, with my wife that won't sleep with me, with my business partner that's giving me a hard time, my dog that's killing me on veterinarian bills. All these stress in life, they started using it and applying it. So it was practical. What I was sharing was very practical. And then once we got boots on the ground, I'm really good virtually. That's one of the kudos I would say. When getting out of the military, transition was, I was successful at it because I was a good interviewer and I could win the crowd. But get me face to face on the ground, it's game over. And when I had the guys face to face and I had them all in line, and it was 4 a.m. and we're waiting for those bands to come pick us up, I flipped the switch and I brought the beast out of them in a good way, and it felt so good because I'm good at it. I'm good at pumping up the men and getting them going when things suck. So and they're nervous. A
Well,
lot of these guys.
it also motivates you, right? If you
Oh,
when you're trying to pull it out of them, it motivates you as well. It lifts you to a
I
different level.
my
I was just about to
voice
say,
is
can
just now
you
coming
coach
back.
the Red Sox here for us, please, this year?
Rob, Phil wants you to coach the Red Sox. I think you should turn that job down. All right. Who else has something exciting to share from the past week?
Well, I have something to say about what Rob was saying. Like, what do
All right,
we do,
Luis.
right? We were asking, what do we do when we become dull? But the first thing is recognize that we're becoming dull because number one, we're probably said we were gonna do something and we didn't do it. We said we're gonna commit something, or we committed something and we didn't follow up with it. And then we start getting into that mode, that cosmic habit, right? So one of the easiest things for me to do is to get in like a little challenge, like a 4 week challenge, 6 week challenge. I don't know, it could be 100 push-ups per day or something like that. And you start um, building your self-confidence. It starts building on, okay, I know I'm capable to keep up the word on what I said. I mean, but that comes from letting ourselves down for a while, and we could just get used to it. So, and maybe not in all areas, but in most areas. So yeah, Rob, I love it. I love everything you said. But yeah, what can we do? Just like that. Change the habit, change something really fast. And those anchors, right? Oh, freaking something. I know I can do this. It changes everything. So even the energy right there, you were saying like you pumping. I was getting pumped when you were talking, so I liked it. I loved it. So what and with your question, Frank, yes, I want to share that I started the 17 Club with community in Spanish. And last night we had our third conversation, or was our third session, and it went great. Somebody shared exactly what we're looking for in all groups, in these groups. He's alone. He's a musician, a producer. He's alone. He spends a lot of time by himself. Motivation is going, and I can see the path. Stress, anxiety, depression, and he is probably already into the depression stage. So he talked to us last night. We gave recommendations. We listened, and he went home. He went to bed way more calm. And again, we all think that we have a unique problem. It's bullshit. We all have problems. We just think that we have a unique problem. So everybody was there, like, I don't know, it was 14, 15 guys. And one is like, "Wait, I'm just coming out of depression. I lost everything. I had a martial arts school. I lost everything. My wife left me and I was depressed for 6 months and I was thinking of killing myself. Sorry if I shouldn't say that on YouTube and stuff like that. Maybe we can bleep it. But he was trying to take his life and things like that. So, and then when you start comparing, right? Comparing in a good way. My God, I thought I was bad, but that guy had just worse than me. Then everything starts changing. So we got this guy out, a couple of guys talked, and it was beautiful. So thank you, Frank, for bringing this space because I wouldn't have started that without this group. And just that it's growing. We're doing something really important with all of us. We like to share that with you guys, and we're gonna keep going.
Yeah, I love that. Congratulations, Luis. And I got the chance to watch some of the recording that you posted on Facebook. I believe it was yesterday. And of course, I couldn't understand a word they were speaking because they were all speaking Spanish. But you could not mistake the energy and the communication, right? Regardless of the language, you see people were engaging and people were sharing, and that's what space is for. It's for engaging and sharing. Look, we're none of us are alone, and you talk. I mean, suicide's real, so to bring that up in a conversation amongst men, I mean, there are several men out there who are thinking about it as we speak, and I can only hope that somebody gets a message to them that they're not alone. And that's the opening of our video when I put it up on YouTube is, we don't have to walk alone, and so many of us do that. And in leaning into teamwork and cooperation, which is our subject today, it's creating that group of people around you. It doesn't matter who they are, where they are. It's creating an environment. As you were sharing this guy that spoke up and shared with you some very personal details yesterday. Yeah, you know what? He was alone. He does most of his work alone. He's in his home alone. He thinks alone. He eats alone. He's probably drinking alone and self-medicating and all of these things. And all of that just leads to depression. And, Rob, you talked about becoming dull. And Luis, I think I heard you say, if not, at least this is the way I interpreted it. We all become dull at some point. I think it's important for us to be aware that we're falling into a zone that we don't need to be in and have those conversations. I just recently went through a bout of that myself. And fortunately I have a wife of 47, soon to be 48 years. We're going on our anniversary trip this next week, and at the end of the day, it's super important to me to be able to have that conversation with someone who I know is going to tell me to shut up, suck it up, buttercup, because that's what she's going to say. She's a fellow Marine, right? But I was feeling, honestly, guys, I was feeling not defeated, but I was feeling, okay, why am I doing the things I'm doing? Am I having an impact? Are people showing up? Are they not showing up? I don't see some faces in the room right now, and I'm thinking about one that's not here, who's been a major part of us, and he's not here, and I'm wondering why. So, there's going to be a phone call going out to him today. But why do we feel that way? It's not all about us. Yet we make it about us for some reason. And I'm guilty as charged. And I don't know any man who doesn't think that they want to be not recognized, but they want to know that what they're doing serves a purpose. And one last thing I want to pick out of Rob, out of what you said. I just want to share this. Rob, you said so many times in that brief uh, revelation of what you experienced, your business, you get into a business, it sucked, it didn't work out that I wanted, but I'm still going and I'm doing this and I'm doing it. You kept adding something more that you were still going, dude. And to me, that's the lesson, right? When you fall down, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times you fall down, as long as you get back up. It's when you don't get back up that you fail. We need to keep getting back up. So kudos to you, Rob, because I've listened to you for several months now over the excitement of the business and the not so much excitement with the business and what you've been going through, some other personal things in your life. So we've known each other for a while. I know what you've gone through, and look what you're doing. You just keep freaking getting up and fighting, right? That's what cooperation and teamwork does. If we try to do it alone, it's a struggle. If you've got somebody, you can pick up the phone, you can jump on a Zoom call, you could walk across the street, talk to a neighbor. You got somebody that you can turn to, it at least gives you a release valve. And sometimes that's all we need. Let's relieve some of this pressure, let some other thoughts come in so we can take different actions, right? All right, anyone else? I see a comment here from Michael. Michael, you wrote in the chat, identifying the problem for most fulfills the chemical/hormone sequence of satisfaction. You want to share that with us?
I don't even know where that comment is.
It's right there in the chat, dude. I'm
Is
looking
it?
at it.
The
Did you
chat
send
that
a
I've got,
message?
I wrote down, if you don't sharpen yourself, something else will grind you.
Really?
That's weird. That was from like what I wrote, I think last week or 2 weeks ago.
I don't know because it's in the chat for today's call.
That's
I'm sitting here.
hilarious.
That is hilarious. It's so funny.
So
Yeah,
bizarre.
I see the last thing. If you
Now,
don't sharpen yourself, something else will grind you. Absolutely. Okay, well,
Franz,
never
since you
mind. You
are
didn't
the,
say it today.
I'm
Hang on a
sorry.
sec. Go ahead, Luis.
No, I was just gonna say, Frank, since you are you created that link, all the conversations you they stay in your chat.
Oh, they
We
just
don't
stay
Ah,
it
there.
doesn't keep in ours, but you have all this history of the
All
comment.
these things, all this time I've been doing this, I never realized I could go all the way back to something Michael said mean to me like 6 weeks ago,
yeah,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
could, and I could call him out on it. That's so cool. Okay, all right. Anyone else?
Well, I could share a win. That's fine.
Go ahead, Michael.
You know, and this is kind of minute compared to what amazing experience Rob just had because that was so cool, and it does remind me of how valuable and powerful it was when I was marathon running to get that, you know, to use the chemical stuff, right? Like to get that endorphin and then, that adrenaline high, that hormonal experience is something very powerful that the body should go through. And it should go through it in a roller coaster form, not in the like micro dosing form that is totally exhausting that we tend to do with social media.
Yeah.
So big wins for me. Uh, the process I've been walking people through from a sales perspective is really starting to pay off. So, three different sales calls over the last couple of days, and they all said yes. So that's great. So that's really, really exciting.
Nice.
Nearing almost an 80% sales closing rate over the last month or so, which is really, really awesome. And mostly it
Excellent.
has to do with just how I'm preparing that person. So before they sit down with our diagnostic call for 45 minutes, they're already quite prepared to move forward with whatever I'm doing. And so it's like just the something that I knew intellectually that I'm just proving to myself on the ground again is that, when you've prepared somebody through exposure to your concepts, right? And they make sense. And then you go along and you put together some sort of tool or process that diagnoses the true problem that they're actually facing. And then you marry that with kind of what is a no-brainer offer for them. The yeses become really, really easy. And when it comes to teamwork, Frank, the same process applies. Right? When you understand the person on the other side of the conversation, what's going to motivate them, how they're going to work, right? They get exposure to you and your ideas and where you want to go and the leadership you've been providing. And then you identify the real thing that's holding them back as a team member, right? Even as friends, even as leaders, we're pitching people all the time on the next steps of their own personal journey. Whether you're selling them something or whether you're pitching the next stage in what you're doing with them. So, and then obviously getting them to say yes to going, yeah, I want that promotion, or yes, Rob, let's get going. Let's hike that mountain. Let's jump in the water, whatever the next stage is, right? But understanding how to sort of craft that yes moment from them is crucial, even in just team leadership, let alone sales.
Yeah, Michael, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. It's interesting, yeah, we are all, I don't necessarily like the term pitch, but I'll use it because you did. You know what? We're all pitching something, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was we're always selling. Everybody says, "Well, I'm not a salesperson." Yes, you are. You've been selling since you were a baby, right? And the techniques were just different now, right? And so, yeah, it's important to know we're always trying to convince someone to do something, to share something. We're always trying to progress, or as you say it in Canada, progress, right? You gotta enunciate the O's, but at the end of the day, we're all selling something. And when you think about teamwork, I know as a Marine in learning, I never thought that being in the Marine Corps meant that I had to coordinate a team. I thought it meant, I'm the guy in charge, I'm the leader, I say it, you do it. And that is so opposite of what military experience is once you grow up in the military. Because I think initially, when we're learning to be leaders, we don't know all these things. We just think, okay, we've got the stripes on our shoulders or on our collars, and we just say, I'm in charge, let's go do this. But there's so much more to building a team. and gaining cooperation, trying to achieve whatever it is that we're trying to achieve. One of the big questions that comes up in this chapter about cooperation and teamwork is what's the difference? What's the difference between cooperation and teamwork and the Mastermind Alliance that we talked about earlier? About what we do right here. This is the Mastermind Alliance. So what's the difference between the two? Can anybody verbalize what the difference is? If you remember, the Mastermind Alliance is two or more minds that come together in a sense of harmony to achieve a mutual goal, right? Rob, you had your hand up. Go for it.
You kind of just answered a question that I had, Frank. And I would say, the difference is, one's more of a structured process. We're coming together. We're here to communicate. Or what we're pitching is this, whatever. Another approach is a humble process. It's where you see something going on in someone's life and you reach out to them and you say, hey, let's come together and try to fix this. Let's, what can we do together? So I think there's two different approaches to that when it comes to teamwork and then a mastermind type methodology. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got that. I see hands up, and then I'm going Phil's hand is up, and then I'm going to jump in. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, I like what you had said there, Rob, too. And the idea really, what it comes down to the mastermind, the distinction with cooperation is that the mastermind, think of it as if it's the consulting. So we're getting an attitude and we're being aware of what is the problem or what's the obstacle, and we're aware of what can be done. And then the cooperation is digging in and doing it. It's like you could talk about that man of war and you can be prepared, but before you get there, it isn't happening. And then once you get there, you're taking those actions and you're taking the leadership. And to me, sales is the same thing too. Why there are so many people who are bad in sales? They have a terrible attitude because they're so afraid of finding themselves and getting the solution. And the other part is that there's people out there who are trying to get you to do something for them. They're not cooperating with you, coming together and serving together with you to solve a problem. So the professional who steps out there with that prospective client, they're working with you. They're being a listening ear. They're helping you to bring out of yourself what already is going on. And I think that's a cooperation that can happen, and that will help make a sales position flow more smoothly. It's having clarity of here's the issue. Now what are you going to do to work together because you're working with them. Coaching is the same thing. Coaching is really asking the good questions that nobody's facing, but we have the courage to face and ask the questions, and that's going to move us together with each other. And that's like in the self-confidence formula, like I will never participate in anything that isn't win-win-win. Everybody wins. If there's one side that's off in the equation that's getting, that might not, it's not going to be a fair proposal. It's not going to be a fair type of thing. So everybody's going to win together, and everybody's also going to shall we say, face the same obstacles. The boat's rising or falling with the tide type of thing.
Okay. Phil, thanks for sharing that. And Rob, thanks for sharing your thoughts as well. As Rob was speaking, I actually reached over to my bookshelf and I grabbed this book called The Mastermind. If you don't have this book and you're in business, I highly recommend you get this book. It is the blueprint on how to build a mastermind. And I think the biggest thing that differs, and actually Brad put a note in the comments, and I know it's from today because I just saw it come up. He says harmonious action, right? And I think, Brad, you're right on. The key word to the difference between a mastermind alliance and the chapter we're talking about today, cooperation and teamwork, is a harmonious alliance. Let me describe that just a little bit further. If we all work for the same company, we all may have different skills. And the company has an objective, which let's just say for simplicity, to make a profit. And what the company expects of us is based on what skills we bring to the company. We don't have to all necessarily get along. We don't have to like each other. We don't have to communicate harmoniously. We just need to do our job. And at the end of the day, we get a paycheck saying, thank you for doing your job. And on Friday afternoon, you kick out, you're done, you're gone for the weekend. There's no relationship going on between the other coworkers. You're cooperating, you're working in teamwork toward the end that the company wants, right? Mastermind Alliance is different. And that's the reason I grabbed this book, because I'm being honest, I'm not a master of this yet. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, okay, the mastermind principle, here it is. Two or more minds working together in harmony towards a definite objective. They have more more power than a single mind. And I think that's the key, right? If you're starting let's say you're heading out on a definite major purpose that you want to achieve. And you don't necessarily have all the brain power that you need to get it accomplished. You know, for example, I could probably do a really good job shaking hands and kissing babies, going out there and networking and selling our product, but I'm not really good at marketing and packaging, or I'm not really good at the nuts and bolts of the thing. So I need to add people to my mastermind group who want to achieve the same goal I have, to bring this product to the market because it's going to help people, that bring knowledge that I don't have to the table to help us achieve that goal. And we all get along harmoniously. We're not really so much concerned about the money aspect as for us. We're all doing this because we want to help other people with the service that the product provides. So we harmoniously come together, guide, shepherd, help, share ideas, challenge, hold each other accountable to that cause. And we all do it with the mindset of just trying to help everyone get the best out of them. Does that make sense? We'll probably talk at all hours of the night. We'll probably talk on the weekends because we have this burning desire about what we're trying to achieve together as a mastermind. And that's different than people showing up for work on Monday through Friday just to complete the job that they've been hired to complete. Anyone have any comments or anything you'd like to expand on with that? Luis?
You were spot on right there.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. Brad, are you there? Can you talk? So Brad's in the middle of packing, I think. He's moving, and I wanted him to share the success story. And he didn't
Hey,
get
yep,
there he
I'm
is.
here, Frank.
You had to run back to the phone. You need to put the phone in your freaking pocket so it's with you when you're talking, okay?
Yeah, I had it charging, so we'll make it work though.
Okay. Brad, first off, share with us what is going on in your life right now. And then secondly, expand a little bit on what you meant by harmonious action.
Sure. So I felt like first off with Rob, your what you shared this morning just got me fired right up. So I appreciate that. And I kind of feel like I've been experiencing what you did there just kind of on a life level, I mean pretty much every avenue being, moving, kids, just the normal typical stuff that you experience once in a while where everything changes all of a sudden. And the biggest difference for me has been, being aware of my mindset throughout it all. And I've actually caught myself slipping a couple times and like falling into Luis had mentioned, the habit force. And you get so distracted with action sometimes that I feel like you fall into this loop of negativity, or you get drawn into it easier than normal. And that's definitely, I've been aware of that happening because things have been, as active as they have. But I think most recently, I question myself recently with how busy I've gotten and stuff, whether I come to these groups, half-ass, if you will, and just off camera and try and do other things. And, I kind of made a commitment when I came, like, even though I might not be here 100% on camera all the time, like I made a commitment to join. And I think that's important. And sometimes we don't have, the ability to give 100%, and you have to lean on others. And that's been a huge part of this process that I'm going through right now too, is understanding that, there's no way I can do it all alone, you know. And so I'm listening in. I hear every word. I appreciate everybody. But you know, as far as the harmonious action goes, I need a lot of work in it. You know, I'm good at setting the example by action, but you know, requesting for others to join me isn't my strong suit. So it's something I'm working on.
Yeah. Thanks, Brad. Thanks for sharing that. And congratulations on finding your new home. And you're going to be closing, I think you said by the end of May. So that's an awesome thing. Congrats. That's a big move. Phil, you've got your hand up, my friend.
Did Luis, you have your hand up before me?
No, I'll go later. No worries.
Oh, okay. That was okay. Yeah, no, I really like what you're talking about, harmonious action. You know, we have the opportunity when we're in leadership that nothing is below you. You can get in, you can pick up a broom and sweep. You could, do these things with your team together, your team and whatever, if it's a business organization or group. And the idea that was a great example in the chapter, if you read the chapter, was how what's his name was like he started out just sharpening pencils. Well, how meaningful is sharpening a pencil for his boss? And it wasn't that it was a huge thing, it was a little tiny thing. And just the idea of the law of cause and effect, what we do is our cause. And if we can be focused on what are the actions that we can take to leave somebody else better, how do we step out, go that extra mile? If we're going the extra mile beyond what it takes and it's not defined by the hours of the day or the task, do what we can to help somebody, leave them better. And remember it, and that reciprocation is going to happen automatically because we feel, oh, they helped me here, I'll help them there. And then that escalates over time. So it's a nurturing relationship. And if we focus that way, and if we focus as a mastermind group, as a collaborative group, what I loved in the CEO space was that the idea is built with collaboration, stop the idea of competition in business and in life. The passion that Bernie Dorman had, he was going out to have governments collaborate with the people who are their contemporaries in the government side, plus also cooperating with the people who place them in office, so to speak. So when we can have that happening, it's not about me forcing my ideas on you. It's about let's work together. So from different opinions, we create that single focus and we have that clear leadership and we focus on together. And that's how we achieve real big things. It starts very small. That doesn't appear to be connected. It grows over time into something that's huge and big. And as long as we don't quit, as long as we keep persistent and have the faith.
Yeah. Great. Awesome, Phil. Thanks for sharing. Rob.
No, I just wanted to comment on what Brad said. It really resonated with me about life. You know, I mentioned I have a broken rib. So when you have a broken rib, it goes through phases. First, it swells, and it doesn't hurt that bad, but you know it's there. Second, the swelling starts to stop. That's when the special moments happen. Very, very painful. And if you would have seen me a few days ago, you'd have seen my face because it's just always painful. But my attitude through the broken rib hurt way more than the glute. I just couldn't keep up with the pack because there has to be a time, there's a program, they like, hey, you're a medical drop, come back, please, please, please. But you just can't keep up. Got it, I get it. I've run programs. But my attitude during this broken rib, was just something has shifted in me to where I can go through my day, and even with this pain, I can still have a good attitude. And what Brad said about life, right now my life is a bit of like the feather in Forrest Gump floating down. It's kind of just at the wind right now. But I have a plan. I have several plans and contingency plans. But the crucible, I look at the crucible as life. We all have a crucible. We all have life, and life's going to come get us one way or the other, either now or it has in the past, or it's gonna. That's just life, and we just have to be prepared for it. And I think, coming together as a group like this, and Brad, you holding yourself accountable to be here with these men, with high achievers, with high caliber individuals, just shows that you're in your crucible and you're holding that front lean and rest. And you're looking at the leaves and being able to say, I'm not quitting. I'm going to show up. I'm not quitting. So kudos to you, Brad, for what you got going on and showing up.
I love that. Love that. Thanks, Rob. Every time you say the crucible, I get excited because for those of you that don't know, the final test of every Marine who goes through recruit training right now is to endure a 54-hour crucible. It's the final test of all of the skills that they've learned over 13 weeks that they must complete in order to graduate. So crucible, I love it. Go ahead, Michael.
Okay, this is such a fascinating conversation to me because, as you guys already know, human psychology is a place I love to muck around in. So, I don't know if you guys have read it, but I would encourage you guys to read Simon Sinek's Leaders Eat Last. It's a heck of a book. It's very interesting, and a lot of it is military doctrine. A lot of it is military doctrine, and there's a section in the book here called Abstraction Kills. And one of the things that may send a jolt of lightning through this group or not, I'm not sure, is the fact that I don't, how do I put this? There's a level of scientific evidence that the concept of democracy, as we talked about it, or like Frank was talking about, or Phil was talking about, finding like a harmonious organization between everybody, is actually a very momentary ray of light. It's not something that stays. And I think one of the points of Leaders Eat Last is that obviously a leader needs to feed themselves as the last person. They need to be the last person to break the bread. They need to be the last person that gets the kudos. They need to be the last person that is receiving the accolades. Mainly because the leader has to get buy-in. They must get compliance from the group they lead. And as much as that's, I don't have another word to use right now for me, as much as that might sound sort of in your face, but a leader has to demand, they demand clarity, they demand commitment, and they demand compliance from the group that they lead. They do so in exchange for protection. They do so in exchange for, Albert, acceptance, right? But it's also, I think the word acceptance is gentle, but the word compliance is also valuable in the sense that it's like, no, if you step out of line, I'm going to put you back on the freaking track, right? Like there's a level of, we take notes from everybody. We get some clarity around the room, right? Like, oh my gosh, what was the great leader from South Africa that was, what is his name? Nelson Mandela, right? He would listen to everybody. All those great stories, and he'd listen to everybody, and then at the end he would put a bow on it all and say, this is the direction we're going. And there was no arguing with him. He'd heard everybody's opinion, he'd molded whatever they were doing, and then he picked a direction and he went with it, and he demanded compliance to that direction. He did not accept deviance from that direction. Did they have to navigate? Did they run into construction along the way and have to find a detour? Sure, but they never deviated from the final goal as to what they were doing. Yeah, absolutely. Gandhi was amazing. But I think one of the things that for me, what this conversation indicates is that as leaders, and even in this own space, right, there's a level of compliance to adhere to what Frank illustrated, what the point of the mastermind is, right? And if we don't all buy in, it doesn't work, right? And leaders demand these things. They demand clarity of intention and direction. They demand clarity of the commitment from the group, and they demand compliance, or to use Albert's word, acceptance to the rules, the concepts, the actions we're going to take to get there. And in the chapter Abstract Kills, right, Simon Sinek talks a lot about how any type of deviation from that direction is what destroys most long-term objectives of a leader, or of a team, I should say, right? And there's that great African proverb that if you want to go fast, go alone, right? But if you want to go far, go together.
Yeah,
And that
love
requires that level of commitment and compliance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Michael, and thank you for giving me another book that I have to revisit. Simon Sinek
Oh,
has
you're very
written some
welcome.
great stuff. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a great book. Yeah, exactly. Albert.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up something. I heard a couple people mention that they had issues with physical problems. Um, the best way for me to put this was I was discharged from the Navy with 4 broken discs in my back. And I was told that if I didn't let them operate on my spine through my stomach, that they would discharge me. Now, that would have left me without feeling in my legs. So I said no. And they did discharge me. And I decided, here's that word decision again, that I wasn't going to be, how do we say it, named, qualified, described as having a disability.
Labeled.
Labeled is a good word. Thank you, Luis. I healed myself. I am God. This is something that you need to understand, that we are spiritual beings in a human body having this experience together. When you come up to this level of understanding, everything is possible. Recently, I had another implant taken out of my head. They decided that I needed another hole in my head, not my choosing, to clear a sinus infection, which still is not resolved. I'm going to utilize that to improve the benefit um, disability percentage from the VA. It's not stopping me. Don't let it stop you or define you or label you, as Luis said, because you're able to do anything. You are God. I am God. And whatever we put our minds to, we can achieve. And when we do it together, it's so much more beneficial. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Robert, go for it. Be careful.
Albert,
Albert's on a roll. Go for it.
superpower, Albert. That was great. I love that. And it just meant, and I hope I don't come off too cold here, gents, but it's gonna come like I'm dovetailing off what Albert just said. So in Colorado, and to the backing up even a little bit more to suicide. So the percentage of vets committing suicide has gone up again. And it's madness, and we could talk about that all day, but it kind of comes into what I'm saying as well. So in Colorado, if you're a disabled vet, 100% disabled, you get a disabled vet license plate and registration free for life. That's great. But what's not great for me, and what I think is a problem for vets, is that on that license plate, and I was telling my kids this, so I was showing them because now they can kind of understand. On that license plate, there's a DV. It's a big letters DV, disabled vet. And I was like, babies, your daddy's a disabled vet, 100% disabled. They were like, oh, well, how come you don't have a DV plate? Because that DV plate is a label that other people look at and they go, oh, poor disabled vet.
Poor guy.
Poor guy. Uh-uh. And I told my kids, I was like, when you see that license plate, I just want you to make the noise inside yourself. Not around your mom because she'd get mad, but inside your little inside voice saying, oh, I don't want them to have that attitude. And I think that's a problem for vets too, because we get out and Albert, all of us that were in, you get out and it's kind of like, oh, poor vet, come over here and go on this free hunt. Come over here and go on this free fishing trip. Come over here. Oh, and I think that's just, the wrong way to release a lot of guys. They don't need to be told, oh, or in women, they need to be told, hey, get ready for the next challenge. Get ready. It's going to come at you. Be ready to fight. Be ready for that defensive posture, that self-defense move to be able to handle what's coming because it's coming for all of us. Just be ready to handle it. So,
Yeah. I love that comment, Rob, and it's unfortunate because and nobody's doing anything to label veterans for a negative reason, right? They think that they're helping us and they're giving us things, and it's nice that they feel that they owe us something, and that's fine. But the same thing holds true with PTSD, right? I mean, there's a big push to get rid of the D on PTSD. It's post-traumatic stress. It's not a disorder. It's the word disorder that makes us feel less. it was caused by stress that they were under. And so there's a big push to get that D taken off the diagnosis of PTSD, right? So, and it's all because it's a label. It absolutely is. And I have never said "oh" when I saw a DV on a plate. I said thank you. Thanks, Rob. Luis, go, my friend.
Well, this is magnificent, and I've been really enjoying this conversation. But one thing that I would like us to do is not just to meet every freaking Tuesday and don't hear anything about, maybe we got an issue going on tomorrow or Thursday, and we're gonna come back until Tuesday. I would really like to start some kind of group chat or WhatsApp or something like that. So we all check in constantly. We can draw more people in there, and some people might not be ready to have these conversations here, but they're gonna start getting curious. They're gonna start seeing how we behave. We can share, right, the video once it's ready, the links of the video there, and people's gonna start. And then it's another way, another way to start making this work that we're doing available to more people. And then we're going to hold each other accountable as well. We're going to keep the communication. And I truly believe that we're going to keep a stronger bond in this group of men and those that want to join us.
Yeah,
I'm doing it with I'm sorry, Frank, I'm doing it with my group in Spanish that I started 3 weeks ago. And it's been wonderful. Everybody is, and whomever doesn't want to reply, that's fine. Some people are gonna find it annoying, and some people left. We have over 100 men in that group, so yeah, of course, not it's not for everybody. Some people they're just okay reading it and whatever we post or share there, and it's only going to be annoying if you let it to be annoying. You don't have to listen to it. You don't have to pay attention to it. But this is a small group, and I think we really can get a lot of value from doing that because we're not going to be sharing stupid shit. We're going to be sharing valuable stuff. That's all I
Yeah.
want.
And Luis, thank you for bringing that up. I know we discussed that in our personal mastermind yesterday, and I'm in complete agreement that meeting just on Tuesdays, this is a great thing for us to be able to put this video together and put it out there to maybe attract people in, gives us a chance to meet as a group. But outside communication builds the strength of the mastermind as a whole, right? We build deeper relationships, and the strength of any organization, any opportunity is the strength of the relationships that are built between the members. I am fine with organizing a WhatsApp chat for the group. I have everybody's names and numbers for the most part. If I don't know it, I will reach out to you by email because I have all of those. But I'd like to go one step further. I mentioned it a little bit earlier today. There are some faces that I used to see every week that I'm not seeing right now, and I'm not seeing now for at least 2 weeks in a row. And whenever somebody is fully engaged and then they disappear, that means something happened. It may be just life happened, or it may be shit happened. And so if you see someone that's not in the group that was in for a while, if you don't see someone who's not been here for a while and you have contact with them, maybe they're nearby you, reach out and say, hey, been missing you. What's going on? Everything okay? And there's a commercial out there. There's a bunch of basketball players, right? And all the basketball players are doing their thing, and they're busting each other's chops and everything. Things that guys do. And then at one point, it just kind of shifts to, "You okay? Is everything good?" And I think it's really important because that's what guys do. It's just like, "You all right? Everything good?" Yeah. When I was on my golf trip with my boot camp buddy, there goes my thumb from my video. I love it. Uh, I was on my golf trip with a friend who's been a friend of mine for 40 years, and we got into a little spat on the golf course. And before the day ended, we both looked at each other and said, "We good? Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good." So just those 2 words or 3 words, "Are you good?" could mean the difference between somebody who takes the wrong action, makes the wrong decision because somebody noticed that they weren't around. So I'll get on that WhatsApp group. And if anybody has anything they want to share, we can do it there. If you have any recommendations, I'm open to it. Just send me a text, email, or a message on Facebook. That'll be fine. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, just really quickly, not hopping down a rabbit hole, but the idea of cooperation, collaboration is a great concept, and I love it because I know two organizations. One's called JVology, and there's a couple others that really it's people who at a business level they share revenue with each other. It's beyond a referral. It's beyond that. So you're actually working together to find a benefit. But that's another rabbit hole. But one of the big things that's coming up is our identity. How do we see ourselves? And another great book is Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Max
Excellent.
Maltz, where self-image really sets the boundaries. Are they limited or are they abundant? And if we see ourselves as a label, as um, whatever that label is, it's like, oh, you were no longer able to drive, or you had this, emotional or physical or spiritual disability, or you had an event that happened and in people are holding you to that event. That really doesn't define who we are. We pause and we say, hey, I am whatever you say you are. And we have that power of God within us. Every cell of our body has the ability to achieve at that highest level that we, with no limits. And so that's just a great book to get into the psychology of how do we see ourselves, and how do we see ourselves as a lone wolf, or do we see ourselves as a team member? And the teams will go far. While the individuals might go fast, the team goes much further. It's a team that comes out at the when we're measuring the performance of each other and the net result. And also, one of the things too, it came up a couple of times with talking about suicide. My uncle was a world-renowned suicidologist as a psychiatrist in San Francisco. And one of the big things, he helped reduce suicide by over 50%. Be kind to other people. How to be a leader, or even no matter what level we are, how do we simply let people know that they are valued, even when we don't agree with what they're doing, they're still valued as a respectful person because the humanity that's in there. Be kind to people who we agree with and people we don't agree with. People who just show up and they happen to be a street person, we can still be kind to them. We don't have to be mean to them. And if we do that, we offer kindness, we go the extra mile. That's the leadership that we can do together. And I'm really grateful for all you guys. You all inspired me. I take down different notes of different things that we can take, individually to take actions and go forward. So let's be champions together, guys.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks for that boost. We all need it. And I appreciate your comments. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I can, you know what, Frank, it was a question just about group direction and stuff like that. So I can actually,
Yep.
if you have a few minutes after we close, I'll just ask
Sure.
you, and then we don't
Absolutely.
need to
Yep.
take up time.
Yep. I'm looking at Michael's response to our chat in the chat. He put Ho'oponopono, and I think many of us are familiar with that. I believe it's an ancient, was it Hawaiian?
Yep.
Hawaiian, and it's I'm sorry.
I love you.
I
I love you.
I
Please
love
forgive
you.
me.
Thank you. Please forgive me. Yeah.
Please forgive me.
It doesn't matter what order it goes in, right? And you're not necessarily saying it out loud to people. You could be saying internally, you could be saying it out loud, but you could be saying it internally. And the lesson I was taught with it is that you're saying those words to yourself. You're giving yourself grace,
And
and it's helped. It has a great history. I forget what book it was written in. Is it in Zero Limits that Dr. Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah. Zero
Yes,
limits.
thank
Joe
you.
Vitale.
Zero Limits. Yeah, Dr. Vitale.
And I'm gonna see him in 2 weeks, by the way.
There you go. There you go. You're gonna help him with his martial arts training.
Yeah, I did. I did.
How
I
old is
did.
Dr. Joe? Joe is he like 75 years old?
74
Somewhere,
or
say
something like that,
70s.
74, 75, and
and he's pursuing some martial arts. I mean, this guy's done some
he's
wonderful
halfway
things.
there.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
I'll tell you
Exactly.
what, it flags. So one of my challenges was to get up to a 10-minute plank, and
10 minutes.
that's quite the journey to get, to start busting those minutes.
Oh,
And I got up to 5 before the crucible. But at
Yeah.
those last that last 30 seconds is where you're really in the spirit world. And I would repeat the hope and know it. No, you know, I love you, thank you. I would just say it just zoned in with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, Leroy, go ahead and then we'll wrap things up for today. And then Michael, I'll stop the recording and we can go on a call. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Leroy.
Yeah. Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, just great conversation. I just wanted to chime in a little bit. And bring up that Ho'oponopono. I was up in Minnesota recently, a very small town. I saw those words on a church sign. Thank you, I love you, please forgive me. I just wow, you know, somebody else knows about this too. So I just wanted to share that. Yeah, so great conversation. And I told you yesterday about I had a job interview, and what I told the guy was, you know, I'm not just looking for a job, I'm looking for a place to grow. And, you know, we really connected. So I'm looking forward to, you know, for an avenue, I see it as an avenue to grow in my community and to be more, you know, spread this message more. So I wanted to share that.
Yeah. Thank you, Leroy. Thank you. And you know, I love what you just said at the end of that, to share this message. To, you know, everything we talk about here, and it doesn't necessarily all come from Napoleon Hill. I mean, this stuff has been around for centuries, right? And it's a philosophy. It's a philosophy of life. And I was just thinking with Ho'oponopono, go ahead and make that statement in the middle of a crowd and see how many people ask you, what the hell are you talking about? What do you mean by that? And it gives you an opportunity to share the message, right? You know, so be bold, be brave, stand in a circle of people and say, "Oh, Pono," and see what happens. I promise they won't throw anything at you. All right, guys, thank you for another great week. I look forward to seeing you. Oh, by the way, I will not be here next week, so I'm going to ask one of my leaders here to lead the group. I see Luis pointing at his own forehead, so he's going to take it. I will be doing what I'm supposed to do, and I want to share this with you as we wrap. My wife and I are going away for a week's vacation to celebrate our 48th wedding anniversary. She does not know that yesterday I decided that I am not going to conduct the mastermind. Someone else will lead the mastermind. And my book study on Wednesday night, I am not going to do that either. Someone else is going to lead that, or it's not going to happen. And my men's mastermind on Monday, I won't be there, guys. So you'll be on your own. And see, she doesn't know that because the last conversation we had was, I'm sorry, I still have to do those things even though we're on our vacation. And guys, that was the wrong thing to say.
Yep. Good for you.
Right? It was the wrong thing to say. So I'm sharing it here. So just so you know, I'm doing it for my own livelihood. I don't want her to kill me in my sleep. Okay.
I don't want to. I better don't see you next week at all.
You won't see me at all. I promise. Have a great week, guys, and I'll talk to you all later. I'm going to pause this
Thank
thing. You guys
you.
go ahead and jump out, and Michael and I are going to stay in. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
A good one.